When it comes to Gothic Slenderman blogs, I usually don't talk about trailers or picture trailers, but I think this one is kind of interesting, and I have my own theory that goes around it as well. Today we're talking about the Five Nights at Freddy's 3 trailer, not the one that was first shown off with the I Am Still Here. I think everybody's already talked about that now. A new one has came up today that is more about Five Nights at Freddy's 3 and about the animatronics that were dismantled in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Now, I think it's all but confirmed that Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a prequel to Five Nights at Freddy's 1. This picture shows all of the animatronics with the exception of the marionette shoved into a box after being dismantled. These being Toy Freddy, Toy Bonnie, Toy Chica, Balloon Boy, and Mangle. This picture was most likely to confirm that these animatronics will not come after you, but they'll probably be seen in like a storage closet or something. But I think there's something else we're missing. I think this may be a hint at a new animatronic made up of old pieces. But before I go any further, let me talk about the marionette. Notice that the marionette is no longer to be found in the box, yet he was introduced in Five Nights at Freddy's 2. However, the marionette could still very well be in Five Nights at Freddy's or Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, but not thrown away or dismantled. Maybe just hidden away. And sometimes after you beat certain levels, you have control over Freddy Fazbear's head looking around. In one of the nights, you can see the marionette just floating in front of your head no matter how much you turn. But if you notice in the background, that's actually the Freddy Fazbear Diner from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Now, there is a backstory to this. First was the Freddy Fazbear Diner, which is where the first game takes place, but this was like most likely in the 70s or early 80s. And then they moved on, because the business got bigger, to the restaurant, which is where Five Nights at Freddy's 2 takes place. Then after that place got closed down, the place got reopened later on in time, most likely in the 90s, and as many people theorize, in Freddy Fazbear's Diner. So this little Freddy Fazbear sighting with the marionette could either take place before Five Nights at Freddy's 2 or during Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Which means the marionette is still out there. We just haven't seen him. And it would also explain why he's not in the box inside this trailer. However, I have another theory. This goes along with a theory that has not been confirmed but has been created by another fan. That Mangle, the animatronic that's meant to reflect Foxy, or was originally thought to be the toy version of Foxy, was collecting many other animatronic pieces to make himself stronger and bigger. This theory could go along with this picture, meaning that Mangle could get the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 broken cast and form one animatronic with all the pieces that are inside that box. Now, what would this creation be called? I'm not sure, but I'm going to give my own personal name just to make things a little easier: Remangle. I don't know what Remangled would probably look like if this is a thing, where all five of these broken animatronics will be forced together by Mangle to create one super mega animatronic. And this would make things really interesting, so that every animatronic would return, but there would still be more space for new animatronics to show up. Remangle would be made up of the pieces of Mangle himself, which is confirmed to be a boy, even though he shows up during the All-Girls Night Out challenge inside Five Nights at Freddy's 2. Anyway, also with Balloon Boy and the toy replicas, all forming one animatronic. Because they're made up of all the pieces, they'll probably be the biggest animatronic that would go after you, and probably with the most nightmare fuel. Oh. What? Different change in lighting, the camera being slightly higher up, and change in clothing. This could only mean one thing. Ghosts. Or that this goddamn idiot actually had an extended theory, but he was too lazy to put it in the first video, so he decided to make an extended version of that video. Sorry! I think it's best that we continue where we left off. I talked about the possibility of Remangle, the collaboration of all the animatronics of Five Nights at Freddy's 2 that were in that box, except for the marionettes. However, there's one little detail that I didn't see that you guys pointed out for me. Hanging from the box is a hook. Now, many people thought this was Mangle's hook. But the thing is, you look a little higher on the arm. It's red. No part of Mangle except the cheeks are red. This would only mean one thing. This is not Mangle's hook, but it's Foxy's. This could either mean one of four things. 1! Foxy is getting completely redesigned. It's just like Foxy was the only character that got dismantled and disrepaired so many times, they just thought, fuck it, we're gonna rebuild the fucker! Not like replace him with another version, but like, rebuild his outer design. 2! And this goes with the bite of 87, if Foxy was the one that did it. Now, everyone assumes either Foxy, Freddy, or Mangle was the one that did the Bite of 87, but those were all fan theories, and we don't know who exactly did it. But if, perhaps, they decide to throw away the hook and replace it with a normal hand, that could be a big hint that Foxy may have been the one who did the Bite of 87. And parents saw like,
that character's too dangerous for our children.
So they wanted to make him more safe. 3! And this is very unlikely, considering that I'm pretty sure Scott knows the popularity of the original characters, especially Foxy, who's one of the fan-favorite characters. But what if perhaps Foxy is not going to be an animatronic that would be after your Five Nights at Freddy's 3? This is the most unlikely one of 3 because, like I said, I'm pretty sure Scott knows how popular the original cast is, and Foxy is a fan-favorite character. And 4! Oh, fuck, I forgot. But there's also one other thing. The I Am Still Here animatronic. Now, many people had a mutual agreement that it was either Freddy or Golden Freddy, but I don't think it is. I believe it is Freddy Fazbear, but not the one that we know. This goes with a theory from both Game Theory and Bonito, that before Freddy Fazbear's Diner, which came before Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which got reopened after Five Nights at Freddy's 2, which is where the first game took place, there was actually another Freddy Fazbear Incorporation. And this was actually the earliest state, when it was probably just a family company or something like that. Probably in the 70s or early 80s or even the late 60s, when animatronics were new technology. The very first animatronic was an Abraham Lincoln animatronic seen in Disneyland in 1965. Being at that point in time, animatronics were new technology.
Fuck that damn train! I am doing something here!
Back here! But I have a theory that maybe at that point in time, there was no Bonnie, no Chica, no Foxy, but only Freddy, because of limited technology and limited funding. And probably because of this, the original Freddy Fazbear was limited on many other features, such as sound and movement, because maybe they even had to use wood. And maybe this is what we're looking at, the original Freddy Fazbear, or the first. So how could this animatronic go after you if it's the very first Freddy Fazbear and they probably threw it away? Well, they didn't want to throw away the animatronics from Freddy Fazbear's Diner when they opened Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria in Five Nights at Freddy's 2, so they kept them in a storage closet. So what if, possibly, the same thing happened to the first? Now, what makes me think this is the first? Well, let's take a look at the image, which is also inside the second image that I talked about. If you brighten the image, you can see him in the background. Notice that his eyes are torn up, especially within this area. But Freddy Fazbear's suit, the eyes are much bigger. So how could they be ripped up at that part if the eyes were even bigger? Also, there's razor-sharp teeth. So how could that be the Freddy Fazbear that we know if both Freddy and Golden Freddy have round teeth? And maybe this is why it was saying, I am still here, referring to the very first animatronic that was made, that many people thought was probably thrown away, or nobody even knew that it existed in the first place. This would also explain why it seems like this Freddy Fazbear is made up of a different material on the external suit. Now, why does it have razor-sharp teeth? Well, maybe at the earliest point in time they wanted Freddy Fazbear to look more like a realistic bear rather than a cartoonish one. But maybe this frightened children, so when the corporation got more money and became a bigger company, they decided to give Freddy more of a cartoonish look so that he'd be more innocent to children, and add more characters like Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy. And maybe this old animatronic is still there, but being used for spare parts, like the Five Nights at Freddy's 2 characters. Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, and Foxy were dismantled, and their parts were used for the toy replicas. This was even said in the phone guide in Night 2 of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. That's all I have for this video. If you guys have your own theory, you can put it down in the comments below. Make sure to like, maybe favorite, and subscribe if you want to see some more. I make videos almost every day. And remember, we all see fish in the ceiling at least once in our lives.